When the market's going haywire, rather than worry about what your stocks are doing day to day, ask yourself, is this a good company and do I have confidence in it for the long term? I'm Jack Otter, editor of BARRON'S.com, and I'm here with Dennis Lynch, who's the portfolio manager of the Morgan Stanley Growth Fund. Let's talk about 3 stocks you have confidence in for the long term. We'll start with Amazon, your top holding.
Sure. Amazon's a company we've owned for over 12 years now. And what's attracted to us historically is that it has a unique combination of offline and online type competitive advantages.
Now, the big problem here, of course, is earnings. You know, clearly it's been growing like crazy, and everyone says, but when is Bezos actually going to show us some real solid profits?
Yeah, and a big criticism has been it's not shareholder friendly, yet over those 12 years we've seen massive increase in the market cap and the valuation of the company based on a lot of the investments he's made. And I think it makes sense what he's doing, which is reinvesting what would be profits back into the business, given that the penetration of both their core business, the e-commerce business, is still only 6% globally, as well as Amazon Web Services, which might even be lower than that in terms of its overall penetration of its future opportunity. So
and that's the cloud business,
yes,
by the way, and that's growing very fast, and it appears to be sort of the future of the internet.
I think it's certainly a great opportunity for them, and they appear to be the leader. And I think that it's a real testament to him and his forward-thinking ways and his capital allocation. And I think it's, ironically, that's what the company is criticized for, the lack of short-term profits. But don't forget, there's a real nice tax benefit to not being profitable if you have the places as a growth company to reinvest the profits, which I think they've shown that they have, and I think they currently do.
And quickly, we should point out that what the user sees, of course, is that product online and they buy it. Getting that product to the user is a huge logistics operation that would be hard to match.
Absolutely, and I think that it is a logistics company. I think in the past it's been sort of misunderstood as maybe a retailer or a bookseller originally, but I think that that's really an interesting big platform they've created. They have a physical infrastructure that's hard to replicate, but they also have all the benefits of being an online business that have long-term or long-tail type inventory benefits that they can offer the consumer, many options that somebody who locally as a store could not.
Now, your number 2 holding is also an internet company, but you make the point that it's very different, Facebook.
Sure, and people love to categorize things. It makes it easier to analyze, but internet's not a great designation in the sense that look at Facebook, which makes most of its money through advertising. It's very different than Amazon, which makes its money through transactions or retail or consumer discretionary. So very different end market exposures. So when you think about that from a portfolio level, I think it's very reasonable to want both of these companies that are taking the internet as a disruptive platform and tackling 2 very big different end markets.
Now, the problem with Facebook was originally, well, they're not going to be able to monetize mobile. Everything's going mobile. How can you put an ad on it? Well, they are selling ads on mobile, and they've done very well. The stock has done very well. Now the problem is the audience going to continue to be there? I suspect you and I are both on Facebook. I know I am. My daughter's not. She uses Instagram, which luckily Facebook owns. But can Facebook continue? It's got 1 billion users. Can it keep on growing?
Well, look, I think it's become a daily part of people's lives. If you look recently, they announced that 1 billion people across the globe use Facebook in one day, which is just phenomenal and amazing. I think the network effect is powerful enough that this is going to be a staple. It's going to be utility for people, whether or not they use other social networks in addition. And so that platform, that 1 billion plus users, and the fact it continues to grow, to us gives us a pretty strong feeling that even though there'll be some fragmentation in terms of very specific user bases, you're still always going to have this sort of general Facebook platform for sharing.
And you're excited about video on Facebook. We'll have to make sure to put this one on.
Yeah, I think videos it just like mobile is higher. It monetizes higher than their traditional business had. So I think there's another big opportunity just starting to happen there for Facebook.
And the number 3 stock in your portfolio definitely is different. It's kind of hitched to the biotech boom, Illumina. The concern here is, wow, biotech stocks have had a fantastic run. Can it keep on going?
Well, Illumina, unlike most biotech companies, is profitable, and it has a very unique intellectual property. They're the leader in next-generation sequencing, which is really opening up all sorts of new clinical types of solutions beyond what currently exists today. So, for example, they have a prenatal testing capability that comes from the usage of their technology, which is a several billion-dollar end market, which makes it much safer for pregnant women to get tested to know if their baby has Down syndrome, as an example. So the use cases for their technology are actually very wide. And we think the end game potential as a result is very large. And their basic business model, unlike a biotech company, is that they have a recurring revenue stream. They sell people the tools to do the research, and then they have a recurring revenue stream that kicks in beyond that as the tools are used. So we like the business model. We think the intellectual property and their advantage is very strong. They have some ecosystem advantages also kicking in as people get used to this as the dominant platform. It has over 90% market share, but it is also benefiting from all the discovery that's happening in that general area.
So they don't have to worry about whether they get FDA approval for something.
Right.
It's the customer has to worry about that. They're just selling the tool.
Exactly, and having a great annuity stream as part of that.
Give us a sense of the valuation.
We also think that their penetration is pretty low relative to their overall potential opportunity. I think the consensus is a $20 or $30 billion revenue opportunity. They're in a couple $1 billion type revenue run rate right now. We think it actually could wind up being low, that total addressable market, based on the fact that so many things can be sequenced. You could use this in forensics. You could use it in for cancer screening ultimately, and some of that is, but some of that isn't baked into some of those overall expectations.
Thanks very much, Dennis.
Sure.